What's going on, guys and girls? In this video, you're going to see exactly how I managed to get one of my clients to slow down his rate of aging by 10 to 12% and potentially add 10 plus years onto his life. I'm going to break that down and I'm going to give you guys and girls some actionable steps to make 2025 your healthiest year yet. So, where do we begin? At the beginning of me starting the Quantum Club, I wanted to introduce something to my clients that would give them an opportunity to work on their health. Now, I don't like to do things in halves. So one of the ways that I worked out how best to do this was to give all of my one-on-one clients 4 different types of tests. We did a full blood panel, we did a DNA methylation test, we did a food sensitivity panel, and we did another test called an RN Labs methylation test. Now, on their own, these tests are individualized tests. They're quite common, they're not super rare, you can find them. But combined together and when reviewed with the right intention and reviewed with the right set of eyes to know what they're looking for, we were able to come up with some really interesting results, because there are things in people's blood work that may not necessarily show up in a methylation test. There is stuff that may be present in your genetics which is not necessarily present in your food sensitivity testing. One of the big things with food is it's an inflammatory test. So you may not have that specific inflammatory marker, but you might have a genetic mutation that stops you from being able to break down something or process something. So by combining all of these 4 tests together, we were able to come up with some really interesting results. One of the foundational principles that I advise people on all of the time, and one of the things we find with everybody we've put through the protocol, is a lot of people's problems begin in the gut. People eat shit food, people drink too much alcohol, people expose themselves to cooking in things that give you an inflammatory response to certain types of food groups, things that you cook in make you inflamed. When you're in a constant state of inflammation, you're cloudy, you're foggy, you can't think clearly, you've got bags under your eyes, you potentially have stubborn fat and skin underneath your neck from where you're basically in a constant inflamed state. Now, this is not good. So one of the things we look to do with everybody when we first begin is approximately 2 to 3 months worth of gut work. Now, by doing 2 to 3 months worth of gut work, we can put people into a state of reduced inflammation. We can start to have them thinking clearer. We can start to have them moving more clearly without having the fogginess that lulls over them like a cloud for what they've become accustomed to as the normal. One of the other ways we've been able to do this is by getting people on a specific diet that suits their genetic makeup. Now, every single person has a different diet. People should be eating differently. People should be exercising differently. So one of the things that we were able to do in putting the clients through these tests was to give them an opportunity to find out exactly how they should be eating, exactly how they should be exercising. And when you have that custom blueprint for yourself, you can then design your life and you can then work on giving yourself all of the right prompts for your genetic makeup, for your food sensitivity, for your optimized blood work, results. You can then put all of the right ingredients in there, okay? Now, one of the things we notice is with all of my one-on-one clients, how beneficial it was to be able to give them access to this kind of testing, to this kind of detail. And I ended up seeing so much benefit from it that we released it as a separate product. Now, the Quantum Protocol is that product. This is a culmination of all of the tests that we have given our clients that we are now going to start mass producing to the general public. Why? Because health is probably one of the most underrated parts of personal development, trying to work on yourself. There are exceptions to that rule. There are some people who are unhealthy, drink too much, party too much, and make a lot of money. But as a general rule of thumb, some of the healthiest, some of the most optimized, and some of the wealthiest people in the world prioritize their health. They prioritize their physical makeup. There are limits as to what you can achieve with regular GP consults, with regular, healthcare, regular medicine. There are boundaries to it. It doesn't mean that it doesn't work. It does serve a purpose, but there are limitations. And if you want to venture outside of those limitations, you have to be willing to do something different. So for me, one of the key takeaways for me this year is my health. I have spent a lot of time, energy, and money this year working on my health. And it has got me into an anti-inflammatory, right? Very cognitively focused, very physically optimized state. That has done wonders for my physical health, for my social circle, for my relationships, for my career, for my vocation, for my energy, for my focus, for my ability to retain information. And I am a product of the quantum protocol. Everything that I am recommending to people, everything that I'm putting my clients through, everything that I'm advertising by, talking to you guys about the quantum protocol, I am doing those things. I'm working very closely with a practitioner, right? Her and I will do everything that you need us to do in regards to going over your health with a fine-tooth comb. Now, one of the biggest things that has come up off the back of that is, in the last few years since COVID, humanity has had a bit of a shift. We've started to prioritize our health, and we've started to take our health a little bit more seriously. One of the core takeaways and the core buzzwords to come away from that is longevity. Now, I want to talk about this next because it's actually a very recent discovery for me in particular, because one of the tests that I put people through is called a true age test. It looks at epigenetic markers in your DNA, and it looks at the rate at which your DNA deteriorates by. Now, with the recent newfound interest in the word longevity, people are starting to spend more time, more money, and more energy working out how to tap into their longevity. Now, we have managed to do this through working with Fiona, working with myself, analyzing all of the results and breaking down where your epigenetic markers are and how that's affecting you, how that's affecting your DNA deterioration, how that's affecting your ability to do basic human functions. Now, when you do this test, you get given a reading. That reading is what's called a Dunedin value. And a Dunedin value is the rate at which you age biologically. So chronologically, in calendar terms, you may age 1 year. You will have a Dunedin value. And let's say that that Dunedin value happens to be 0.92. Well, that means that for every 1 year that you age, your Dunedin pace value will age 0.9 or 0.91, okay? So you get older 1 year, biologically you age 0.91 or 0.9. Now what that means is that's good, because any less than 1 and you're aging at a rate slower than you're aging chronologically. So you're aging slower than you age, which is very good. Now, the reason I'm using this example is because one of my one-on-one clients, when he came to me at the start, we did all of the quantum protocol. We did his bloods, we did his methylation, we did his food sensitivity testing. We went over his true age test. We looked at his Dunedin value. He had a few things to do. He had some gut health related things to do. He had some high amounts of psychological stress. Cortisol levels were quite high. We had to do some hormone work with him, and we did a little bit of a deep dive for 3 or 4 months before we started optimizing. Once we had done this, we had got his baseline up to a good level and we started to optimize. Now, at the end of the 12 months, I have just redone his Dunedin value again. We've done one of those tests again to measure the rate at which he was aging. Now, at the beginning, his Dunedin value was 0.87. So for every 1 year that he aged, biologically, he aged 0.87. Now, that's actually quite good. Obviously, more than 1 is faster than you're aging, less than 1 is good. So he had a very good value already. However, everything can be optimized, everything can be refined, and you can always push the boundaries and stretch the limits of what's possible. So at the end of the 12 months, we've done that test again. We've done the Dunedin value again. Now his Dunedin value has come back at 0.77. It's about 12%-ish, or a 12% reduction. So we have managed to reduce the rate at which he ages from 0.87 for every 1 year to 0.77, which is about 12%. Now, I had a conversation with Fiona the other day about the fact that this is why we do what we do. And one of the realizations for us was there's a better than average chance that we have, assuming that he continues along his current trajectory, we have just added approximately 10 to 12 years onto his life. Now, he would need to maintain those inputs and make sure everything that he's doing remains the same. But to be able to put someone in a position where they have added 5, 10, maybe more years onto their life, for me was a very profound feedback. It was a very, I like to call them black book moments, my signs and my synchronicities. For me, that was a big sign. It was a big synchronicity. It lets me know that what we're doing is making a difference. Being able to put someone in a position to optimize their health for longevity, to use the quantum protocol to figure out their diet, figure out how they should be exercising, figure out how they should be supplementing, and overall building that into a custom design package for the individual. Now, for me, that's profound. To be able to deliver that news that that person has successfully reduced the rate at which they age by 12%. It's an amazing achievement. Very, very, very well done to that person. Now, what I've realized is that as we move into 2025 and beyond, people are placing a bigger emphasis on health. 5 years ago, saunas and ice baths weren't cool. Now, saunas and ice baths are everywhere. Everyone has a sauna. Everyone's doing ice baths. So the move towards biohacking, the move towards longevity is growing, and it's growing organically. And that growth will continue along an upward trajectory as we move into the future. So one of the ways in which to capitalize that is to give people an opportunity to hack into their health, to give people an opportunity to work on their own longevity, to get a custom designed protocol. One of the biggest things to come out of me working with the clients and Fiona working with the clients is we've realized that there is not a one-size-fits-all approach to health. One of the biggest things that is wrong with the health industry is the generic recommendation for supplements. People talk about supplements like NMN and resveratrol and all these anti-aging related supplements. Those supplements are good and they serve a purpose. However, they're not necessarily the answer for each individual. For example, there's a specific gene mutation which is found in one of the tests. If you happen to have that gene mutation and you're taking resveratrol, that can actually do you more harm than good. That can negatively affect you because you have that certain gene mutation. So although social media will promote and have you believe you should be taking XYZ supplements because these are the longevity supplements, if you don't know your genetic makeup and you happen to have that gene, then you would be best not to take it. And this is why the one-size-fits-all approach to health doesn't necessarily work. It's a custom design approach. It's very insightful and inspiring to figure out what you should be doing based on your genetic makeup, based on your bloods, based on your food intolerances, based on the rate at which you age and your methylation markers in your DNA. So as we move into 2025, there will be a bigger focus on these things. There will be a bigger focus on things like attending retreats, going to workshops, getting yourself in an environment where you can work on your health, where you can hack into longevity, where you can biohack with other people who are prioritizing themselves, prioritizing their health. This trend will only continue. Now, one of the last things I want to touch on is combining all of this together. How does this actually fit into your regular life? Because the testing, the testing costs money. The testing has follow-up. It requires discipline and commitment. But for you to see the results from that, you have to play the long game with it. You have to input those functions for a few months, 6 months, 12 months. You have to reduce the temptations. You've got to curb the partying. You've got to reduce the bad habits. You've got to actually focus intentionally on working on your health. And when you do that, you get feedback. If you do a 2 to 3 month gut cleanse and then you start to supplement in accordance with your deficiencies, then you start to play around with some peptides and you start to optimize, you will notice changes fast. You will start to think to yourself, okay, well, I was sitting at 50% before. Now I've come up to like 70 or 80%. I'm operating at 70 to 80. This is my baseline now. This is normal. You'll think to yourself, how did I ever get around at 50%? How did I ever work at 50%? When I'm in this optimized state cognitively, my memory's good, my focus is good, my energy levels are good, I'm sleeping well, I don't have bags under my eyes, I don't feel lethargic like I used to. When you get accustomed to working in that state regularly, your finances change, your relationships improve, your emotions improve, your mental capacity improves, your connection to yourself as an individual will improve, and therefore your connection to the world at large, your impact that you have on those around you will become contagious. You'll start to become more magnetic. We haven't earned any more money. We haven't studied anything. All we've done is started to improve your baseline health. It is my belief that in 2025 and beyond, this is one of the best ways to get ahead. This is one of the best ways to win in 2025, is to win via working on your health. If you do not prioritize your health in 2025, you will get left behind. People are doing this now. People have been doing this for years now, and people are starting to optimize. They're starting to tweak. They're starting to refine. If you are not doing this, they will outperform you mentally, physically, financially. They'll run circles around you. This is one of the biggest takeaways that you can implement into 2025 is to work on your health. Now, With my clients and with what we're going to be doing with the Quantum Protocol, we are going to be offering this to the broader Australian market. We are going to be looking at ways to help fellow Australians and other people around the world hack into their longevity. The way we're going to do this is exactly what I've just explained in this video. 4 different types of tests, giving you a full blueprint on your blood type, your genetic makeup, what's going on for you, what are you deficient in, what's your rate of aging, are there any epigenetic markers in your DNA, the rate at which your DNA is deteriorating. We're going to combine all of those things together. And by doing that, we're going to be able to work with you and the practitioners to give you a customized blueprint to make 2025 your healthiest year yet. So, if you've been watching this video, if you've taken some value out of this, I'm going to put some links in the description below. I'm going to put some links in there. You can have a look at some of the blood and genetic testing that I've spoken about. You can have a look at some of the different types of testing that we do, what's involved, the way that you and I and Fiona, your practitioner, would be working together to optimize your health to give you the best chance at getting ahead for 2025.